Okay, so now we want to talk about deleting an element. We just finished with overriding uh, the toString method. And okay, we have, first of all, we're going to add a delete button like this. Then we have to put some code in there. Uh, so he says to support customer deletion, we now create a selected customer property. So we want to have a property um, that is tells us who the selected customer is. So here it is. First of all, private my customers as new array list. So we already had that from before. And now we're going to add also this code here. Public read-only property selected customer as customer. So it's we're creating a property and it's of type customer. And we're saying, do we have a selection? So is something actually selected here or not? So dim integer, index as integer equal to, this is our list box, list customers, that selected index. So we're going to create an index equal to the selected index. So each entry in here has an index, and whenever we click on something, we're going to be able to access the selected index, and we're going to assign that to a variable we call index. Then we say if index is not equal to -1, then so what if it's not equal to -1? That means if we've actually selected something, then return the name of the customer associated, or I'm sorry, return the customer associated with that index, not the name, but the whole customer. Okay, so we put in index and we return the whole item here, which is actually a customer. So we're going to be returning a customer. Okay, which is good because this property is of customer type, so we should return a customer back. Okay, if not, if this is equal to -1, that means basically there was nothing selected. So in that case, return nothing. Nothing is a special keyword which you can use. And then here's the end of the if statement, so from here to here. But then the end of the get statement also from here to here, and then even the end of the property down to here. So he says to support customer deletion, we now create a new selected customer property. So this is a property, and when it's called, it checks to see if anything is selected here. If something is selected, we get the index of the selection, and not only that though, we also get the actual customer back. If so, it returns the structure. In other words, it returns the customer using the index. If not, it returns the Visual Basic nothing keyword. Okay, so next we're going to add another property to our customer structure. So you have to go back to your customer structure. We're going to add a new property. We're going to add a new isEmpty property. So we're going to be able to tell whether a particular customer is empty or not. So how do we do that? It's going to be a read-only property called isEmpty. It's going to be Boolean, so it's going to be true or false. If me.firstname equals string.empty, so that's how you have to test whether it's empty. So me.firstname means what? The current customer or the current instance of the customer. If the first name is empty, as an empty string basically, then we're going to say it's empty. So we're not. So maybe the last name is not empty, but all we're testing here is if the first name is empty. So it's not really complete, but maybe it's good enough. So if the first name is empty, then we're going to call the whole thing empty. That customer is is empty. Okay. So we're going to return true to the is empty property. Otherwise, we're going to return false. Here's the end of the if. Here's the end of the get. And here's the end of the property. And now we're going to add an event handler to our delete button by just double clicking on the delete button. I think we added a delete button, didn't we? Yeah, we have a delete button already there. So we're going to double click on it. And now added button delete click event handler as usual. And then add the code to check to see if the user has selected a customer. And the way we do that is we see if the selected customer is empty or not. So we're going to test to see whether this empty property that we created is either true or false. And that's just really testing whether the first name is empty or not. Okay. And then if so, confirm deletion using a message box. So in other words, bring up a message box and say, do you really want to do this? You really want to delete this customer? So if it's not empty, in other words, right? So check to see if the user has selected a customer. If selected customer is empty, no, we're not going to convert. We don't have to do this. Sorry, it's a little bit wrong, a little bit not written quite right here. Actually, if it's not empty, then we're going to confirm deletion using a message box. So I'd say, do you really want to delete this? And we don't have that yet, he says. And then, if confirmed, delete it in 2 steps. So here we're going to do 2 steps. Delete from our array list. So we want to delete it from the array list. That's one thing. But we also want to delete it from the list box, right? So we have to do both. We want to do both when the deletion happens. So let's see how this works. So this is in our button click handler, our delete button click handler. So we say, if not me selected customer, this was the property that we created. This is the property that we created, is empty. So if that is empty, then, if it's not empty, because it says not, then what? First, we want to show a a message box. So we say dim result as dialog result. That's how you do it. But we need he says we need a fully configured message box here, which we're going to show on the next screen. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to show how to do that yet. But anyway, if they say yes, after this message box appears and they click OK, so if result equals dialog result.OK, then we want to do 2 things. We want to remove the customer from the array. What was the array? From the array list. What was that called? My customers. And there's another method. We saw there was an add method. There's also a remove method associated with array lists. So we're going to use that to remove the selected customer. Okay. And then step 2 is we're also going to remove it from the list box. And then we're going to, so on the other hand, if this result is not okay, if it's not empty, we're going to do all this. If it is empty, we're going to have a message box which says, please select a customer. Okay? Okay. Getting complicated. Okay. All right, now we have to talk about how to make this message box. So we didn't really make it yet here, but we want to bring up a message box which asks them, do you really want to delete this customer? So we'll spend some time in the next video talking about how to make that message box, but here's what it's going to look like. So they click on delete, And if no customer is selected, then we want to say, please select the customer, and then they click OK. Or if they actually have selected a customer, then we want to say, do you really want to delete this customer? And we'll actually say the name of the person that's being deleted. Okay, and then if they click OK, then we said, according to the other code that we just discussed, that we'll actually delete it from here and delete it from the array list as well. Okay? All right, so next video, we'll come back here and talk about how to build a real message box.